Hey, welcome back to MVP Hot Wheels. This is Diesel Mac, and I kind of want to go over the age-old history question of is it worth more in package, um, or is it better to keep it in package? So, right off the in the beginning, I want to say determine what you want to do with your collection. You're collecting for a reason. I've always loved cars. When I was a kid, I can remember myself driving down the highway on road trips and looking at all the cars that we would pass and imagining that if I wanted, I would pick that car, and when I got home, it would be in this big barrel, and so that I had all these car variations. And that's kind of where this variation thing for me kind of started, because obviously you're driving down the highway, and this is in the 90s. You've got certain cars and they've just different variations. Plus, you got some people that have customized their car, and I did it with everything. Right? If I saw, I mean, almost every semi truck I wanted, because every semi truck is different. I don't think I've ever gone down the road and seen two of the same semi trucks. Um, with different companies. We'll say it that way. Obviously, there's been times, obviously the UPS trucks and some of the main corporate uh, companies have their trucks the same. But when you're like driving, you're pretty much not going to see the same truck. Um, and so I just imagine having all those different variations in this huge barrel when I got home, so I had different cars to play with. Um, but that's kind of what started with me. So I enjoy cars. I don't see a pathway down in the future of not having any cars. I have four realistic trucks or three realistic trucks sitting out there. Actually, I do have four. I've got three of them, or all four of them are diesel. Three of them have 6 liters in them, 6 liter diesels in it. One has 7.3 liter. It's just something that I really enjoy. So when it comes to collecting, for me, I'm going to keep these cars for a really long time. And unless somebody came in and bought out the whole collection and basically made me rich, um, they're not going anywhere. So I like to collect loose. I like to be able to touch them. I like on some cases I have tracks and stuff. I like to race them. I like to play with the kids and set up the play sets and pretend that we all kind of have our own little cars, and we set up the city and all that kind of stuff when they were younger. Maybe not so much now; they're getting a little older, but certainly when they were younger, we used to do a bunch of that stuff. And so you can't have a packaged car sitting in what's like your pretend driveway, and then try to drive around while it's in the package. Right? It just doesn't make any sense. So I enjoy my stuff loose. I I want to eventually, once we get the house built, have a space where I can put all of my Hot Wheels on the wall, and I put my stuff together by casting, and then broken up by make and model. So all my GM stuff will be together, and then all my Ford stuff, and then basically all that kind of broken up that way. All your city stuff, Army will be together. Um, but to do that for me, right, I envision them all being loose. Trying to put them together, like package. I've seen people have all their walls covered up with stuff that's in the package, and some of it looks pretty decent if you've had the taken the time to kind of plan out what you're going to do, because there's cars in different size packages. Even single packages are in, a couple different size packaging, right? You got the short card, long card. You've got the premium packaging. You've got all this type of stuff, and then you get into stuff where there could be a 2 pack or 4 pack or 5 pack, 6 pack, 10 pack, whatever the case is, because there's exclusive cars in those as well, right? That you're trying to get, and then you got to put that on the wall somehow, and sometimes it looks pretty decent as a display that way, and other times you could tell there was no planning and they put them up there and it looks like crap, to be honest. For me, and I'm kind of an OCD kind of person. I like to have things put together, and make sense, and I've always try to have a plan for stuff. But that's me. Other people may not care so much, but for me, I kind of care. But I don't like having different size packaging, because then that screws up. I can't have all the space filled up and there become dead space from trying to move stuff around and all that whatever. So for me, I enjoy them loose, and that's kind of the main point that I'm trying to make in the beginning here is it's your collection. So go into this mindset or into your collection and say, okay, what do I really want to do with this? How do I want to display it? what do I want to do long term? Is this, something I'm going to do for a long time, or is this kind of are you a person that gets into a hobby, enjoys its time in there, and then moves on and does a different hobby, right? So that may have a factor in whether or not to keep it in the package or not. But you could, figure out what you want to do, and if you're enjoying it, just remember that the enjoyment that you're getting out of it at the end, even if you open it and you're like, oh, well, now they're not as worth as much. I'm ready to sell. I should have kept them in. You had enjoyment, right? Take that, and cherish it, because that's something you just can't, go back in time and add, that type of enjoyment to your life, right? So there's value in that for me anyway. As far as I'll try to keep for my ring knocking on the table some more. I'm sure that's getting annoying, but um, obviously, if you're in this short period of time or you're trying to make some money, almost everything is worth more in the package. You know, the the cleaner the package is, the more value it could bring. Obviously, it's in good shape within the package. I mean, there's factory defects in the cars and stuff like that, and sometimes people really go crazy on that kind of stuff. Uh, I'm not a defect kind of person. I don't really even like. I barely if I saw a car that had and wheel error, say it had no wheels, I probably wouldn't even buy it. And if I did, it would specifically be for somebody that I know would enjoy it. And then maybe do a trade or just give it to them because it was a buck. Like, it has zero value to me, to be realistic. And that goes for when it's like missing a window or missing interior, or you know whatever the case. It doesn't add any value, basically, is what I'm saying, to me. Now, if you're a wheel error or an error collector, then maybe it's worth something to you. And there's other people. There's a percentage of the collectors out there that like that kind of stuff, and so there may be a you know an uptick in the price for it. But it's only going to be in the package. If you're buying a car that has no wheels outside of the package for a premium price, you're just wasting your money in my regard. Because if that's really what you wanted, just buy it with the wheels and cut them off, right? I don't, or whatever you're trying to accomplish, right? But again, I don't have any value in having the error too much. Like another famous error would be the 1995 Treasure Hunt with the chrome wheel on the back and the gray wheels on the front, or vice versa. I can't remember because again, it's not a big thing to me. It's an error to me, right? So I don't have that on my website. Now, as far as having that on there, what I've thought about and what other people have requested is that they can put in some of their own entries. So we have to build the whole back end and system for you to be able to add your entry and have it in such a way that you understand that it'll show up in the place that you want it, right? Because you can't just be like, all right, I added it, and then it's with the other, uh, 67 Camaro Treasure Hunt, right? In its place or whatever. Like, you want it displayed in the right place, but so that'll has to be built out. But anyways, um, it's a wheel error to me, and it's not the way that was necessarily intended. I go as far as the wheel sizes. So there's been wheel size errors that are on the website, and they are, to me, okay if they roll, um, and they make sense, right? If they have bigger wheels in the front and smaller wheels in the back, I will discard it, or I won't put it on the website. But if it has all small wheels, which a lot of cars have, as a variation where they have medium wheels or small wheels in the back, even though it doesn't take up the wheel well space that it was intended, but it still rolls, I'll add that on there. And the same thing if the front wheels are a little bit bigger, but they still roll and they fit in the wheel well. Um, I will add that. I've got a couple of those as well. That's kind of where I go. If it's missing a window, if it's a different wheel that's supposed to be on there, like front wheels are different than the back wheels, and I know a lot of newer cars are that way, so that kind of drives me crazy. But as for it's mostly for the Blackwall stuff and the stuff in the 90s, it was the same wheels front and back, and so if that's the intended case, then you know I'll put that stuff's on there. Um, but again, just kind of this goes back to the whole theory of it's your collection. You know, what are you going to do with it, right? If you're going to collect errors and you want to open them up and show the error, right? Then as long as you are comfortable with once it's open that the error part of it may not be worth nearly as much, then it's okay. But that's I guess with really any car, right? If I opened up, you know, this car here, right? It's pretty common. Mercedes SLK, an extra that I got in, nearly worth the same loose or in package. But somebody will have more confidence buying this as a mint car, seeing it in a package, and this one's pretty decent package. So I could probably get maybe an extra buck out of it if I were to sell it. I'm not a seller, so I'm not very good at that part of it, but it's potential, right? Same thing for something like this. It's much more rare, right? And this one's a clean package, and again, this is one I haven't opened up just because it's in such a nice package, and it's unpunched and everything. But this will come in more money like this than it will loose. Now it still commands a lot of money loose, just not as much, right? But if for me, I don't know if I'm going to open this. I may open this, but I know in my collection it's not going anywhere, right? And I'll display this with all the other Vega bombs um, in its order when I have the house built, right? And that's kind of why this one's not open because I don't have a house built yet to do what I want to do in my Hot Wheels room. Again, here's another example. Super tough car with basic wheels. And one I haven't opened and I don't have loose also, but it's got a really nice package, straight package. Really nothing wrong with it. It's got one tiny vein on one side of it that you can't really even tell probably from me holding it up like this. The corner is pretty good. It's got a little soft corner there, but nice card. Gonna come in a little bit more money in that package than it is going to be loose, just because that one's a rare car. But like the Mercedes SLK, really not much difference. Sometimes I see, a loose car go for a little bit more than a package car. It just depends on the seller. Depends on how many people in the room are looking to get that car, and maybe it has something to do with people being paid. So if they're if it's Friday after a payday or a Saturday after a week payday, you may have the money to pay extra for a car that you've been looking for. And people will pay. I know I pay extra for a car if I'm looking for it and I'm tired of kind of searching for it and it hasn't been out there for a while, right? So if there's like a $25 car and I haven't seen it for 3, 4, 5 months available, and then finally it pops up, I may pay $30 for it. But that's my prerogative. Plus, I know again it's not going anywhere once it gets into my collection. So, um, I guess I'll end with this, right? Think about what you want to do with your collection. Think about how you want to collect it. Think about how you want to display it. What are your long-term goals for these cars, as your collection, and then make a determination. If value is a factor in what you're going to do with it, that's fine. Let that be a factor and then make a decision off of that. If you're planning on, in 5, 10 years that you're going to sell these cars and potentially, hopefully make a gain from it, well then, by all means, I would keep them in the package, right? Now, if you sold or if you got to that point, or say long term you were like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna keep these and I'll display them like I kind of am, and then I'm like, man, I'm ready. I'm just ready. I'm just kind of done. I'm gonna sell, and you're like, I should have kept them in the package. Well, just remember all the enjoyment you got from it. Um, because you can't go back and take that away, right? So you had enjoyment from the hobby. Like I enjoy opening cars and showing them off and doing my videos and stuff. So if I were to go back and down the road and was to sell it, piece by piece, yeah, I could have got more money, but I'm not gonna sit there and beat myself up over the fact that I didn't keep them in the package and I could have got more money, regardless of the situation that I might be in. If I, become dire needs and have to sell stuff off, right, that maybe a little bit, but I still will have the memories of it. But if you're going to sell or you think you're going to sell, then keep them in the package. Take care of the package. Package means something, um, to some people. And if you get, some people are going to take your car that you kept in package and rip it right open. I'm sure there's been a lot of cars that I have taken, I don't say taken, I've bought, and somebody spent a long time ensuring that they protected it. They have a plastic clamshell over it to keep it from getting dusty and bent up and all that kind of stuff. And I buy it and I rip it open. So just be aware that could possibly happen. And it doesn't matter how rare the car is, because again, if I don't get another one of these, this is probably getting open. If I don't get a loose one of these or a bad card sometime in the future, I'm probably ripping this open, right? And somebody, this is from 1983, so it's 40 years old, 41, 42 almost years old. So yeah, it's just kind of the way it is. But that's my collection. So if you are still wondering what you want to do, I would say keep it in the package, and it'll have a little bit more value depending on the car. There are instances where the car or the package itself is worth a lot more than the car itself. The number 271 funny car is a great example of that. You could find that same car in the number 277 Race Team Series package. You could find that car in a 2-pack from the Race Team Series 2-packs. You could find it in a 5-pack, Race Team Series 5-pack. And it's abundant in other packaging, but in the 271 package, it is worth far more, or at least that package is worth far more than any of those other cars and packages. And there's a lot of cars. Well, I won't say a lot of cars, but there's enough of those cars out there that make the case for it. So those are the cars that if you want to have a loose one and it's expensive in a particular package, you may not want to open that package, right? I would never open a 271 package. One, there's only like 11 to 17 of them, I think, known to in existence or something like that, right? So I wouldn't open that one because I have it loose and I got it from a 2-pack. I've probably got it in a 5-pack. I've seen it on the 277, single pack. And you can get those cars for, I wouldn't pay more than $5 for those cars. Maybe a little more. They're getting a little older, but $10 at most for any one of those, and you can probably even just buy it loose for a couple bucks, right? So just be aware that if you're going to open up a rare car like this one here, right, the Italian Vega Bomb only comes like this in this package, right? This one here only comes in this package. There's no other package. And I think it's so rare that even the package variation where it's got the speed points up in the corner is probably the only way this comes. It's because it's an extremely limited run for that wheel. But other cars, it may be cheaper to get it in a 5-pack. It may be cheaper to be in the single pack where it's not in the 5-pack. It just kind of depends. Sometimes the package is what has the value, and in that case, I would say if you're going to open something, why not open the lesser value package? So there's that aspect to it as well. But hopefully this answers your question. For me, the biggest thing is if it's your collection and it's not going anywhere, don't worry about value. The value is that you have these cars, you enjoy having them, you enjoy doing whatever you're doing with them, whether it be just collecting them and displaying them, or in my case, making videos, putting them on the website, or if you're customizer, customizing the cars, right? If that's the case, there's value in that in itself, and I would say don't worry about the actual value of the car, and do it smartly. Where if something is worth more in one package than the other, then get the cheaper one or buy it loose already. So hopefully that answers all your guys' questions on that. And if there's any more questions regarding the topic, feel free to throw those down in the comments, and I'll answer them as best as I can. And of course, you can come over to Facebook, MVP Hot Wheels on Facebook, and ask questions on there. Also, and the community will come together and answer it instead of just me, hopefully. But yeah, collect how you want is what I'll leave you with. Collect how you want, display them how you want. It's your collection. Don't let somebody else dictate it. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.